We like to believe that survival has meaning, that if something lasts long enough, it must have been protected, chosen, intended. But the universe doesn't think in stories. It doesn't reward effort or guard what matters to us. It builds systems and lets outcomes unfold. Tonight, we're going to look at one of those systems, not as a myth, not as a god, but as a force that quietly shaped the conditions for life on Earth, long before we were here to notice. 4 billion years ago, something immense took its place in the solar system, so massive that everything else had to adapt around it. Not because it chose to protect us, but because its gravity made certain futures possible, and others impossible. This is not a story about a guardian watching over Earth. It's a story about context, about contingency, about how fragile continuity really is. Because when survival isn't promised, when it's merely allowed, understanding the conditions that sustain it becomes a responsibility. This is Jupiter, and this is the architecture we live inside.
Jupiter is Earth's goalkeeper. For more than 4 billion years, it has stood at the edge of the solar system, intercepting, deflecting, reshaping the trajectories of worlds that could have ended life here, all from 600 million kilometers away.
A goalkeeper out there? That's a very long way from the goal.
It is, and like any goalkeeper, it doesn't control the game, it doesn't choose the shots, it doesn't decide who deserves to score, it simply changes outcomes. No eyes, no hands, no intention, just gravity, and storms wider than continents.
Every heartbeat, every sunrise, every child who has ever lived, shaped in ways we're only just beginning to understand, by a world we will never stand on. That's difficult to hold in the mind.
It is, because it means that life on Earth has never been shaped by Earth alone. From the very beginning, our planet has existed inside a larger system, one where distant forces quietly influenced what could reach us and what never did.
So when we talk about survival, about why life endured here when it didn't elsewhere, we're not just talking about biology, we're talking about context.
Which brings us to a harder question. Was Jupiter really protecting us?
Or was it simply deciding which worlds were allowed to survive? Because a goalkeeper isn't a hero. They don't create the game. They don't write the rules. They don't even move most of the time. They just stand there, silent, waiting until a moment arrives where everything changes.
And that moment isn't chosen. It's contingent. It depends on angles, on timing, on forces already in motion.
That's unsettling, because we like to believe that survival has meaning, that endurance implies intention, that if something lasts long enough, it must have been meant to.
But the universe doesn't work that way. There is no promise written into physics, no guarantee embedded in gravity, only systems and the outcomes they produce.
So if Jupiter shaped the odds, then survival isn't something we were granted. It's something that happened.
Exactly. Not chosen, not protected, conditioned by a giant whose gravity has been quietly altering trajectories since before life existed at all.
Which means that Earth's story, every flourishing, every collapse, every near miss, unfolded inside an environment we rarely think of as environmental.
We talk about oceans, atmospheres, climate, but the architecture that shaped what reached this planet in the first place, the invisible scaffolding of gravity and motion, is just as real, and Jupiter is one of its main pillars.
So this isn't really a story about a guardian watching over us.
No, it's a story about context, about how life unfolds, inside systems it never controls, about how existence is shaped not by intention, but by structure.
And once you see that, once you realize how much of life's history was influenced by something so distant, so indifferent, the idea of certainty starts to dissolve.
Yes, because if survival depends on forces like this, vast, impersonal, ancient, then life is not inevitable. It's contingent.
That doesn't make life smaller.
It makes it rarer
More fragile?
and more extraordinary.
So this chapter isn't really about Jupiter?
No, it's about perspective, about recognizing that life on Earth didn't unfold in isolation, but inside a vast cosmic system that was already shaping possibilities long before we were here to notice.
Before telescopes, before astronomy, before anyone could even imagine what a planet really was, Jupiter must have felt like a secret moving through the dark. Most lights in the night sky stayed where they belonged. They returned night after night, like a promise. But that one didn't. It wandered.
And that difference mattered. For most of human history, the sky was the stable thing. No electricity, no calendars, no written records. The night was the great reference point. The stars held their positions, fixed anchors people could navigate by, farm by, and organize their lives around. But Jupiter didn't belong to that order.
It refused to stay put.
Slowly, deliberately, bright enough to command attention, not flashing, not fading, present. Against a sky of permanence, Jupiter moved.
And people noticed. Because watching the sky wasn't curiosity, it was necessity. If you wanted to survive, you had to recognize patterns. Long before anyone asked why the heavens moved, they asked when. When would the rains return? When would the rivers flood? When was it safe to plant? And when would failure mean famine? So people watched the sky the way you watch the sea or the seasons, with urgency.
Certain stars rising just before dawn became signals. They told you when winter was loosening its grip, when the soil would warm, when planting would succeed or fail. This was the first astronomy, not theoretical, practical.
Knowledge that kept children alive. And against that backdrop, that deep dependence on a predictable sky, the wanderer stood out even more.
Because Jupiter didn't just move, it moved against the pattern, slow enough to track, regular enough to notice, different enough to matter.
And that's where the word planet comes from. Wanderer.
Exactly. To ancient observers, the planets were the lights that broke the rules.
And the moment something breaks the rules, humans do what we always do. We stare at it, we name it, and we start building meaning around it. So even without knowing what it was, people knew it mattered. Not because they understood gravity, but because they understood consequence. When something in the sky behaves differently and your life depends on the sky behaving predictably, you pay attention.
And you create stories, myths, to ensure the patterns are remembered, passed down through the generations. That attention wasn't superstition, it was pattern recognition refined by survival. When something bends the rhythm everyone else follows, you don't ignore it, you track it. So the wanderer became a king, Zeus, Jupiter, Jove, ruler of gods and sky.
Why him? Why take that moving light and elevate it above all others?
Because Jupiter didn't just wander, it dominated, brighter than the rest, slower, heavier in its motion. It didn't flicker like Mars, it didn't retreat like Saturn, it held attention.
So it wasn't only beauty, it was authority.
Yes, when something sets rhythm, commands notice and refuses to be ignored, humans don't read that as decoration, they read it as power.
But Zeus wasn't gentle.
No, he preserved order and destroyed what threatened it. Lawgiver, stormbringer, guardian, and executioner.
So even the myth refused a simple role.
Exactly. The ancients didn't imagine Jupiter as good. They imagined it as necessary, a force that maintains balance by being capable of breaking it.
Which feels uncomfortably familiar.
It should, because they weren't responding to morality, they were responding to consequence.
So the myth wasn't a mistake. It was an early map of a real tension, that the same force which allows life to persist can also end it.
And when we strip the myth away, the contradiction doesn't vanish. It becomes scientific.
Which means the real question was never, who is Jupiter? It was always, What does the wanderer do to the system we live inside?
And that's where the modern story begins. Because once we built telescopes, once we sent machines into the dark, we stopped just watching Jupiter. We began to understand the scale of its influence.
And with that understanding, the sky stopped feeling entirely safe. For most of human history, Jupiter stayed where it belonged, far away, unreachable, a light you could watch but never touch. It shaped stories, calendars, gods, but it remained safely out of reach.
And then, for the first time in 4 billion years, something built on Earth began to move toward it. In 1977, humanity launched Voyager, not to conquer, not to land, just to pass by and look.
Which already tells you something about our expectations. We didn't assume we could understand Jupiter. We just wanted to see it up close.
When Voyager arrived in 1979, the myth shattered. What we saw wasn't a calm giant presiding over the solar system. It was violent, restless, alive with motion, lightning ripping through clouds, storms colliding and folding into one another, a world that looked less like a planet and more like a process.
So the king of the gods wasn't sitting on a throne?
No, it was moving.
That must have been unsettling, not just scientifically, but psychologically. Because until then, Jupiter was distant enough to be whatever we needed it to be.
Exactly. Distance allows projection. Closeness removes it. Voyager didn't just give us data, it took something away. The comfort of imagining Jupiter as stable, orderly, or benign.
But we still hadn't met it. We'd glanced at it, passed by.
Which is why the next step mattered. In 1995, Galileo arrived. And this time, we didn't just observe from a distance, we sent something in.
That feels like a different kind of decision.
It was. The Galileo probe plunged directly into Jupiter's atmosphere. No return, no landing, just descent.
How long did it last?
Just under an hour, before pressure and heat destroyed it completely. But in that hour, it confirmed something crucial. There is no surface, no solid place to stand, no moment where atmosphere becomes ground.
So the idea of Jupiter as a place
falls apart. Jupiter isn't a world you arrive on, it's a world you fall into.
That changes the story, because a place implies boundaries, a surface, an edge.
Jupiter has none of those in the way we expect. It's a vast engine of motion, pressure, and gravity, a planet made almost entirely of weather.
And this is where scale starts to break us, isn't it?
Yes, Jupiter isn't just large, it dominates. Take every other planet in the solar system, roll them into one world. Jupiter would still outweigh that world by more than 2.5 times.
All of them, together.
Which means its gravity doesn't just sit there, it reshapes the system.
So by the time Galileo reached Jupiter, we weren't looking at a god, or even a planet in the familiar sense.
We were looking at architecture, a mass so overwhelming that everything else has to respond to it.
And then came Juno, which feels different again.
It is. Juno doesn't orbit at a safe distance, it dives, skimming just above the cloud tops, threading its way through radiation that would kill an unprotected spacecraft in hours.
That sounds less like observation and more like trust.
Or humility. Juno wasn't sent to confirm what we already believed. It was sent because we knew we still didn't understand Jupiter.
And what it found?
Was a planet stranger than anything we imagined. Cyclones locked into perfect symmetry. Magnetic fields twisted into shapes we didn't predict. Storms rooted far deeper than continents. Jupiter didn't become more complex when we arrived. It always was.
So after all this, the watching, the myths, the flybys, the plunges, what we really learned is how wrong our assumptions were.
Yes, not wrong because we were careless. Wrong because we were human. We tried to understand Jupiter using ideas shaped by Earth. Surface, stability, boundaries. Jupiter obeys none of them.
Which means the wanderer we once crowned as king
Isn't ruling anything. It's simply existing. and in doing so quietly shaping the environment every other world must survive within.
So now we know what Jupiter is. Not a god, not a guardian, a force.
And that leaves us with the next question, not about Jupiter itself, but about what it's been doing to the rest of the solar system.
We understand worlds by standing on them, by finding edges, by knowing where down ends. Jupiter offers none of that. No ground, no surface, no moment where falling stops. What you're about to enter doesn't behave like a planet at all. It's a place where our instincts fail and only physics remains.
There's a question almost everyone asks once they start thinking seriously about Jupiter. Could you land on it?
No, there is no place to land. Jupiter doesn't have a surface in any way we would recognize. There's no moment where atmosphere becomes ground, no clear boundary, no edge. The deeper you go, the thicker everything becomes, not suddenly, but relentlessly.
So you just keep falling.
Yes, pressure rises, temperature climbs, and matter itself begins to change.
That's difficult to imagine because on Earth, everything has a floor. Even the ocean has a bottom.
Jupiter doesn't give you that comfort. Its atmosphere stretches tens of thousands of kilometers downward. Hydrogen and helium compress, layer by layer, until the distinction between gas and liquid starts to break down.
So this isn't just depth, it's transformation.
Exactly. Hydrogen, the simplest element in the universe, is crushed so intensely that it stops behaving like a gas. It becomes something else. Metallic hydrogen, liquid, conductive, alien. An ocean of it, thousands of kilometers deep.
An ocean made of the most basic building block of matter, turned into metal by sheer pressure.
Yes, and that ocean is moving. Those currents generate electric fields on a scale we don't see anywhere else in the solar system, which means Jupiter doesn't just have a magnetic field, it has the magnetic field.
So large that if we could see it,
it would dwarf the Sun. Jupiter's magnetic influence stretches millions of kilometers into space, trapping radiation, shaping charged particles, and creating an environment so extreme that an unshielded spacecraft wouldn't last long.
So the thunder god image
wasn't poetic exaggeration, it was intuition. Lightning on Jupiter is far more powerful than anything on Earth. Storms release energy on scales that make our most violent hurricanes look fragile.
So this isn't a planet with storms.
No, it's a storm with gravity. A world where motion never settles, where energy never dissipates, where stability is an illusion created by distance.
That does something to perspective, because everything we build on Earth assumes permanence. Foundations, structures, borders.
Jupiter has none of those. It operates on time scales and energy scales that don't acknowledge human expectations.
And then there's the Great Red Spot, a storm we've been watching for centuries.
At least 300 years, longer than modern science, older than the Enlightenment, older than most nations.
So while empires rose and collapsed,
it kept turning. The Great Red Spot isn't remarkable because it's violent. It's remarkable because it persists.
Which means Jupiter experiences time differently.
Yes, to Jupiter, human history is a brief fluctuation, a ripple on a system that has been operating for billions of years.
So when Jupiter deflects an asteroid or nudges a comet,
it doesn't experience that as an event. It's simply part of the flow, a minor adjustment, inside processes that were already in motion long before life appeared on Earth.
That's unsettling, because it means the forces shaping our history aren't dramatic. They're quiet, persistent, indifferent.
Exactly. Jupiter doesn't announce its influence. It accumulates it.
So this world with no floor isn't just alien, it's instructive.
Yes. Because once you understand Jupiter's interior, the endless descent, the metallic oceans, the storms without beginning or end, you realize something important.
That stability is not the default.
It's the exception.
Which makes the next question unavoidable. If Jupiter is this dynamic, this powerful, this indifferent,
What happens when that kind of force interacts with the rest of the solar system?
So if Jupiter is this massive, this dominant, this deeply embedded in the architecture of the solar system, it's natural to assume that it's been protecting us.
That idea didn't come from myth, it came from physics. Jupiter's gravity dominates the outer solar system, so when comets or asteroids wander inward, its pull can deflect them, capture them, or fling them back into deep space. In this view, Jupiter acts as a gravitational shield, reducing the number of impacts that reach the inner planets.
A goalkeeper, standing at the edge of the field, changing the odds.
And then, in 1994, we saw it happen. A comet, Shoemaker-Levy 9, was torn apart by Jupiter's gravity and slammed into its atmosphere. The impacts left scars larger than Earth.
And for the first time, we watched a planetary-scale collision in real time.
Yes, and the unspoken thought was impossible to ignore. That could have been us.
So the story felt complete. Jupiter takes the hit. Earth survives. A giant guardian standing watch at the gate.
For a long time, that explanation made sense. It fit the scale, it fit the physics, and it fit something else too.
Our desire to believe that survival has a protector.
But science rarely lets a simple story stay simple.
I was waiting for that.
When scientists began modeling the long-term dynamics of the solar system, not just decades or centuries, but millions of years, a different picture emerged. Jupiter doesn't just remove dangerous objects, sometimes it creates them.
Meaning the same force that blocks some shots can line others up.
Jupiter's gravity can destabilize otherwise harmless orbits, stretching them, tilting them, nudging them into new paths. Over time, those nudges accumulate, and what was once a distant rock becomes an Earth-crossing threat.
So the goalkeeper sometimes acts like a slingshot.
This doesn't happen because Jupiter aims. There's no intention here, only mass, motion, and repetition. Tiny gravitational tugs, applied over millions of years, can turn stability into danger.
That's unsettling, because it means protection and threat aren't opposites. They're outcomes of the same force.
Exactly. In some eras, Jupiter reduces impact rates, in others it increases them. It depends on orbital resonances, mathematical rhythms that amplify small disturbances until they become unavoidable.
Like pushing a swing, a gentle push at exactly the right moment, over and over again.
And eventually, the motion becomes uncontrollable. These resonances carve patterns into the asteroid belt, regions where objects can survive and regions where they're slowly driven into chaos.
So the danger isn't random?
No, it's structured. A system where risk is redistributed, not eliminated. Jupiter doesn't erase danger, it reshapes it.
So when we ask whether Jupiter saved us, we're asking the wrong question.
The better question is, how much of Earth's history was shaped by Jupiter's gravity, and how much danger did it quietly send our way?
That reframes everything, because now Jupiter isn't a guardian or a threat, it's a condition.
Yes, a force so large that it warps the meaning of safety itself. Sometimes it prevents catastrophe. Sometimes it makes catastrophe possible, but it never steps outside the system.
So the goalkeeper metaphor still holds,
but not in the way we want it to. A goalkeeper doesn't guarantee safety. They just change the odds, and sometimes the shot still gets through.
which means life on Earth has always been playing a game where the rules were written far from the field.
Exactly. And once you see that, the story of survival stops being comforting, but it becomes far more interesting.
So if Jupiter doesn't protect us and it doesn't threaten us, What does it actually do to the story of life on Earth?
It shapes the environment in which that story unfolds, not deliberately, not selectively, but relentlessly. Over billions of years, Jupiter has altered the flow of material through the inner solar system, not once, not dramatically, but continuously, changing which worlds are struck, when they're struck, and how often.
So extinction events aren't interruptions.
They're part of the system.
That's difficult to accept, because extinction sounds like failure, like something going wrong.
But in Earth's history, extinction has often been a reset, a clearing. When dominant life is removed, new possibilities open.
Which means the story of life isn't a straight line of progress.
No, it's a branching process, shaped by chance, pressure, and timing. Small differences in impact rates or orbital nudges can alter the course of evolution entirely.
So if Jupiter had been slightly smaller, or slightly closer, or slightly absent,
Earth's biological history would be unrecognizable. Different extinctions, different survivors, different outcomes.
which means that everything familiar, plants, animals, ecosystems,
Exists because the dice rolled the way they did, not because life was destined, but because it was possible.
including us,
Especially us. There is nothing inevitable about human existence. Our lineage passed through multiple bottlenecks. Moments where a slightly different impact, a slightly altered climate, could have erased it entirely.
so we aren't the result of a perfect system.
We're the result of a permissive one, a system that allowed life to continue long enough to experiment.
That reframes survival, because it stops being about strength or intelligence or even adaptability alone.
Yes, survival becomes about fit, not fitness, about whether a form of life happens to be compatible with the conditions it encounters.
Which means contingency isn't a flaw in the story.
It is the story.
There's something humbling in that, because it removes the idea that life is guaranteed.
And replaces it with responsibility. Because if existence is contingent, then what we do matters more, not less, not just individually, but collectively. Awareness becomes part of survival.
It means continuity isn't promised. It's maintained, moment by moment, decision by decision.
Life doesn't persist because the universe protects it. It persists because conditions remain favorable and because some systems don't collapse.
Which makes awareness important.
Yes, because a species that understands the fragility of its own existence stands at a threshold.
We're not here because the universe needed us. We're here because the universe allowed us. And that doesn't make life meaningless.
It makes it extraordinary.
So Jupiter was never our guardian.
No, it was part of the architecture that shaped what was possible.
And now that we can finally see that architecture,
The question changes.
not will life continue?
But will we understand the conditions that allow it to? All is one.
All is one.
When you step back far enough, the story of life stops looking heroic. There are no guarantees written into the universe, no guardians watching over outcomes, no promise that continuity will always be preserved. There are only systems, vast, indifferent, ancient, shaping what is possible and quietly closing off what is not. Jupiter never protected us, and it never threatened us. It simply existed, and in doing so, changed the odds. Life on Earth did not endure because it was chosen. It endured because conditions remained permissive for just long enough. That doesn't make life insignificant. It makes it rare and fragile and astonishing. Because once you understand how contingent existence really is, certainty dissolves, but responsibility sharpens. We are not here because the universe needed us. We are here because the universe allowed us. And now that we can finally see the architecture we live inside, the question is no longer whether life will continue. but whether we will understand and care for the conditions that allow it to, all is one.